From today, we have exactly 8 weeks to run a PB at the Clontarf Half Marathon here in Dublin. And in this video, I just want to share with you how I'm getting back into running after an injury and having to pull out of a race. And also, I'm going to share some of the races that I have planned for the rest of 2026. So if you watched my last video, you might know that I had to pull out of the Dublin Half Marathon. I started the race and around 2/3 in, I had a really bad pain in my leg. So I didn't finish the race. I explained all of that in the previous video. So after the half marathon, I had to take a couple of days out to fully recover with my leg. And then my first session back was 3 by 8 minutes at threshold pace. So usually I'd be able to do this session at around 4:10 pace and be quite comfortable with that pace. I ran at around 4:13s and it felt a lot harder than it should. My heart rate was a lot higher than it should be. So it was quite hard, but after a bit of a break and taper for a half marathon and then starting a half marathon, I think that's quite normal. But I think it's supposed to get better as days go by and as I get back to training. So unfortunately, the Dublin Half Marathon, that was a big goal for this year, has failed. But I have some other races planned for this year. So I'm gonna make some breakfast and I'm gonna tell you more about them. But I started drinking decaf coffee because I used to drink so much coffee, like 3 or 4 cups a day, and I feel like that was way too much caffeine for me. And so I started just drinking decaf instead, and I don't really see any difference in the taste all that much, especially if I put milk in it. But I think I've been feeling a lot less tired all the time, because if I drink a coffee at like 3 p.m, then I can't fall asleep in forever. But if I drink decaf, then it doesn't matter, and I can just fall asleep right away. So I've been getting like 9 to 10 hours of sleep every day. So yeah, that's just like something random, but I think it's been working very well for me lately. But now in terms of races for 2026. So as I mentioned, my next big goal is the Clontarf Half Marathon, which is happening in exactly 8 weeks here in Dublin. The course of the half marathon goes sort of where the Dublin Half Marathon went and where I got injured. So it goes along the water, basically it's an out and back course. I don't think this road or any of the uphill, downhill had anything to do with my injury. I think that was the whole race, and I know it doesn't make any sense, but I just feel a bit nervous thinking about that I need to run a race exactly in the same spot where I got injured. I really hope it's gonna be fine. So far, 2 half marathons, 2 very similar injuries, so hopefully this one is the one that's gonna go to plan. So in the Dublin Half Marathon, I was going for around 1:32 to 1:33. I went through half at 45 minutes, and that was after that uphill, so I was just starting to go downhill and just picking up speed a little bit, and then I got injured obviously, so I could not finish the race, but I think it was going quite well until then. What I think I was not prepared for maybe were the hills. I don't do much hill training in general, but I think despite the course being so hard, it was going quite well. But this next half marathon is a lot flatter. The incline is, I think, around 20 meters maybe. It's very flat. It's right next to the sea, so there's not many hills. So I don't think that should be an issue at all. I don't have any specific time goal for this half marathon yet, but I would like to run as close as I can to 1:30, maybe 1:31, maybe 1:32. I'm not really sure. I'm probably gonna have a better idea a couple weeks before the race. But for now, I'm just gonna focus on adjusting my training a little bit. And I have a couple of specific things that I want to change training for this half marathon as compared to my training before the Dublin Half, because when I was training for the Dublin Half Marathon, I was still recovering from my injury for a bit, and I was a bit scared to run longer distances. So my longest run was 90 minutes, and that was usually around 17 to 18 kilometers, which is fine. But when running a half marathon, I think I would like to be more comfortable with that distance. When I was running my first half marathon in Rome last year, I was just out of a marathon training, so I was a lot more comfortable with those longer distances, and it felt like the half marathon went by so quickly because my long runs these days were around 30 kilometers. And in the Dublin Half Marathon, I felt like it was going on for a bit long. I wasn't really used to that type of distance, so I will try to increase my long run distance starting with the run today. Obviously, I'm going to be doing that gradually and not all at once, but I think running just above the half marathon distance could be quite helpful for the training. I'm still going to keep my overall running load around 50 to 60 kilometers because I feel like if I run way too much, way too quickly, it's just an easy way to get injured. But this is the first change that I want to implement in my training, so I want to just try to do a bit longer runs. I also try to incorporate some faster paces into my runs, because as I was analyzing my training coming up to the Dublin Half Marathon, I didn't really do too much training at the half marathon pace. So to be a bit more comfortable with that pace, I'm going to try to implement a bit more intervals into my long runs. And then lastly, I'm also going to continue doing a lot of cross training on my bike. During the winter months, when I couldn't really run at all because of my stress fracture, I did a lot of the training, basically all of my training on the bike. And I really started to like that. Even though I had to do a lot of the training on the indoor bike, now I have my new bike and I can do a lot of cycling alongside running. I think it's a nice way to add some low intensity training without overloading the legs as well. But it's also, now that the weather is getting so much better, it's just a nice way to explore some places outside of Dublin. And I could also see that the bike had great benefits for my overall fitness and translated a lot into my running. So when I started running back in February or in March, I didn't feel as unfit as I thought I would after not running or training for 4 months. But this also brings me to my next big goal for 2026, which is Ironman 70.3 in Austria this August. So I've done two 70.3s before, last year and then the year before that in Germany and in Switzerland, both in mountains. The race that I'm doing this year is also in the mountains, so I'm quite familiar with the experience, even though I have not really done much training before either of those races in the mountains because I was living in the Netherlands. For this race, I have a better opportunity to train in the mountains. I really enjoyed the cycle that I did at the Cliffs of Moher, and then I also have some other races coming up, some longer cycling races and events that I think are a really nice way to prepare for the Ironman. In my first 70.3 in Switzerland, I spent almost 7 hours trying to complete this race. The weather was horrible, the swim was really cold, it had to be shortened. The bike was very hilly, I could not really manage any of that, and then I was just dying in the run. So I just wanted to finish that. And then the year after that, in Germany, I had a much different experience. The weather was great, but also, I felt a lot more prepared. The bike ride was really nice and smooth and I had so much more energy for the run. So I think it's also really important to know how fast you can go on the bike so that you still have the energy for the run, because it is a half marathon after all. But Ironman is mainly a cycling event and I'm mostly focused on my running. So I don't really have any specific time goals for that race because I'm not really sure. I think it all depends on the conditions, on the incline, on the bike, on so many different things. So I just treat it like a fun event and I just want to enjoy it, I just want to do my best. But it's really hard for me to set any specific goals. Having said that, it will be quite nice to beat my time for last year, but I'll probably be talking about that a bit more once we get closer to that race. As part of my preparation, I will also be doing a 100-kilometer cycle event here next week. I've never cycled that far, so I don't know how that's gonna go. It's quite hilly, it's a charity cycle in Bray. Hopefully the weather is nice and hopefully it goes well. And lastly, in terms of Ironman training, I don't really enjoy swimming that much lately. Honestly, I have enjoyed it a lot more in the winter when I couldn't really do much else. I could only really swim or cycle, I couldn't run at all. But now that the weather is so nice and I can cycle and run outside all the time, the swimming kind of feels like a waste of time, and I try to keep my swims quite short, like 40 to maybe 60 minutes twice a week, and that's just what I do for now. Maybe I will get more into that next year or in the winter or in a couple of months. It kind of goes through phases for me. So right now I don't really like doing that. It's my least favorite activity out of all the sports that I'm doing, but that's just what I have to do. I would also like to do a full Ironman at some point in life, but I've been thinking about it a lot last year after competing with my second 70.3. But I don't think I'm going to do that anytime soon. I don't even think I'm going to do another marathon anytime soon, because I think that these events are a lot for the body and for the legs to recover from. It's not just the race, it's also the whole training block. I think I'm at a point right now where I've just been through a lot of injuries and I don't really want to risk that. I don't want to put my running volume too high. Last year when I was training for a marathon and for a half Ironman, my running volume was around 90 to 100 kilometers, I think. That eventually led to my stress fracture. So for now, I think I'm going to focus on shorter races, like up to a half marathon. But I think for me, it's a bit too soon to train for a full Ironman. I don't want to really get injured or burnt out. So it's definitely something for the future, but I don't really want to focus on that right now. And lastly, I will also be doing another half Ironman in Manchester in October, which is the last big goal for this year. I have a couple of smaller races in between, which I will also update you about, but the Manchester half will be my last goal for 2026, I think. I think it's a fast course. It's quite flat, so it should be fun. It's still a long way away, But that's it for 2026. And now I have to get ready and go my long run. So for today, I have a 90-minute long run with some progression intervals, and let's see how that goes. I just finished the run. It felt so hard. I don't remember a training run feeling so hard in a long time. Ever since I was probably marathon training. It just feels insane to me that last week I was running like 4:20s in the half marathon, and now my fastest rep at the end was 4:30 and I could barely hold that. It's definitely something to work on. I'm completely exhausted. I didn't really get too much sleep this morning either. So I'll just go get some rest today and tomorrow and hopefully be ready for the session on Tuesday. So that was definitely not ideal, but I made it. I did my first long run post half marathon, so I think that counts for something. I usually get a bit discouraged because my Garmin here told me that my race predictions are 2 minutes slower than they were before that. And I know that it doesn't matter, I know that it doesn't really mean anything, and I know that this watch doesn't really know how fast I can run, but I tend to look at them a bit too much and too often. I think I need to stop doing that, because once I see that my predictions are going up, I feel like I'm getting less fit or whatever. But thinking about that, I have just run most of a half marathon. I've run 19 kilometers at a half marathon pace. I got injured and I think I just need to take a bit of a break. This long run today was really hard, but I have a whole day to recover. I have a whole day tomorrow to recover from that, and then go from there and focus on this next training block. So that's it for now, and I'll see you next time with some more updates.